This is like the perfect way to start this out, like to the icebreaker of all the shit fucking up in the same day. I'm like, really? Today of all days? Spirit, really? I even said outside, I was smoking a big fat joint, and I was like, you know what? This is going to go really well because there's no plan. So if there are no expectations, it can't go wrong. That's why I was like, we're just going to come into this and just have fun. But we're also going to talk about some real shit. And I'm a potty mouth, so I'm just apologizing in advance. This is like me. And when's your birthday?
August 17th.
Are you Leo?
Ooh, yes.
I'm a Sagittarius, but I'm a Sag, Taurus, Virgo. So, I'm a little weird. But Leos are my best friends. Leos and Geminis. We're all weird, man. Hey, this is why we're talking right now. This is exactly why, because we're not normal.
Everybody in the foundation knows that I'm here today.
Really?
They're excited to watch this. I'm like, this is going to be my favorite podcast.
Can you hear me okay?
You look perfectly fine. You look lovely, and your lips are synced with your sound. On the other hand,
it's not like kung fu. It's not like.
Well, that's this one here. It's really weird to watch me point in myself, and then I catch up, and then I'm still doing it. There. I've been teaching people these lessons for years, and I wanted to find a new way of getting it across. That people don't need to look. I was in a wheelchair for 10 years and on oxygen, and I had nurses' aides in the house 65 hours a week. I couldn't care for myself. And I learned you can rewrite your life. You can start a new chapter. And that's what I try to teach everyone. I've got the world life history. I've lived it. My views are, come on. I'm an exorcist who doesn't believe in demons. I'm a paranormal investigator who doesn't believe in the superstitious explanations that people put out there.
When I first talked to you, it's funny because I was like, oh, here's my number. Let's chat. And you're like, oh, well, that's probably not going to work. I'm in Paraguay. And I was thinking, am I getting catfished right now? Wait, no, I think I do remember hearing he moved to Paraguay. I want to compare all the creepy shit that both of us have been through and how it's changed us and how this is why we live our life doing what we do for others.
Oh, yeah. Always. I've always been that way. My grandmother and grandfather were great role models of that, especially my grandmother. But my life has been blessed. I didn't realize it as I was going through it. Even the challenges I went through, and there were many, I consider blessings now. I've been blessed. I've lived in over 100 places around the world. I've hiked the Himalayas. I've bicycled England and France. I've confronted jinn in Egypt. I got to spend a long weekend with the Dalai Lama, with a lot of other people. I'm not, I wish it had been a one-on-one. I've spent 2 years in Thailand where my son was born. I spent 2 years in the Peace Corps in the poorest country in the world, Mali, in West Africa, under a military dictatorship, living in a mud hut in the middle of nowhere. I've studied with the Kogi people in the mountain jungles of Colombia. I've gotten to work with Jaguar Negro, the witch mayor of Catemaco in the Yucatan Peninsula. I spent a night in a haunted brothel with a Lutheran archbishop for his birthday. It was a closed brothel. But I've been lucky.
I grew up in a military family, so my parents were both Army officers, but I was adopted. It was my aunt and uncle. My birth mom died at 17 in a tragic car accident.
Oh.
And I started seeing things. I was still in a crib. I saw people like little children, and I remember them wanting to play, and it would scare the shit out of me. And then my mom would come in, and I'd scream, and then there was nobody there, clearly. But I know what I saw. And I remember as I got older, I was like, it was a little Asian boy. I remember specifically him peeking out, and he had a little bowl cut. And I remember his dark eyes. And then fast forward like 20 something years later, because, Disclaimer here, I was raised extremely religious, very Southern Baptist, so everything that I experienced was evil.
Everything's the demon.
There had to have been some type of Native American ancestral grounds. So that little boy that I saw was just a little boy that wanted to play. And now I know that as I'm older, and it's not scary. But back then, when you don't know anything and you're 1.5 years old in a crib staring at this little kid through the slats of your bed, it's very scary. It's traumatic. And I remember it like it was yesterday.
So what advice would you give a parent who's having children with the same experiences?
What I would tell parents, and what I do tell them, is don't make it weird. Embrace it. I always told my daughter, these are angels. This is Susan. This is my birth mother that's checking up on us, because I knew from a very young age it had to have been her. I just knew. People want to just make the assumption that everything is evil. We just said that.
No.
They think everything it's a demon. I'm like, no. It's more than likely a disembodied spirit that's probably trapped here, stuck here, doesn't want to leave, loves it here, or doesn't know they're not supposed to be here. They need help.
Or they're afraid.
It's so comforting knowing I'm like, I may sound delusional, but thank God if I sound delusional, you're just as freaking crazy as I am.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, my great-grandfather, my grandmother, my grandfather, my fiance, they've all come back.
There's a reason.
Even my dog.
Whoever needs to get their message across, electronics are my thing. For whatever reason, I've gone through DVD players, stereos, string lights. I can't keep anything around.
That's perfectly normal as a psychic. A powerful psychic is throwing off extra EMF. You're messing with electronics. Your cell phone battery drains out immediately. You have to replace it far more often than a normal person
I have to buy a whole new phone, man.
Yep, I know that. I try to help people all the time. We have a psychic support group online, almost 1,000 people that we help with those kinds of things.
It's even weird having this conversation because I feel like I'm almost 49. I've been like this my whole life, just like you've been like this your whole life. It's just what we know.
Let's go back to the 49 thing. I had you pegged at 29.
God, I love you. Can we just talk every day, please? Because you are just like a boost to my day. I swear to God, the fountain of youth is weed, and I don't drink. And I love fizzy water. Sparkling water is my vibe, and coffee.
Okay.
And mushrooms. I think the coffee is more part of just my ritual. It's like some people like to have a cigarette with their glass of wine or whatever. I like to have a coffee with my bong rip. I mean, that seems very normal to me. It's like how I start my day. It's just every day. Some people go out on the front porch and read the paper. I go out on the patio and talk to spirit and smoke a fat joint and drink 17 cups of Joe. And then I start my day. And I already wake up on 3,000 because I have ADHD. I know this is my last earthly life. I know that I have mastered all the shit that I need to master in all my lives because I can remember them. And I feel like in this life, I'm just over it. I'm too smart. I know too much.
Let me ask you a question then. If maybe that's true, maybe it's not. Because let me ask you a question. Do you feel any connection to anybody and anything that you can't let go of?
No.
Really?
I mean, if I had to go, if I had to leave, I know that connection won't be gone. And the people that know me and love me that are here will know that I will still come back in all those ways. I am not afraid to leave because I'm not leaving. I'm just leaving this. My meat suit's just expiring.
Yeah, that's
when I've talked to people on the other side, they've told me I'm not afraid to leave. I'm afraid to leave you because I want to make sure you're okay. But I think
that's what it really is. It's the loss of connection. We don't grieve for the dead. We grieve for ourselves, for losing that connection. The reason I brought this up, though, the idea of karma. People think it's, you do good, you get good, you do bad, you get bad. To me, that's not karma. Karma is the connections you make that you can't let go of that pull you back. And I've recently come to understand that's also true whether it's to reincarnate or as a spirit. You are connected maybe to a home, a person, an idea, a moment in time. Whatever that is that's pulling you back, that's why you're a ghost. Even if you're a visiting spirit, it's because today we're talking about my grandparents. They're going to come, they're going to visit. It's because of that connection. They're over on the other side a lot as well. I know they've passed over. But for those that can't, I believe it's because of fear. Maybe it's a fear of they don't want to pass over. They're afraid of passing over. Or they love their home, or they love their daughter, or whatever it is that holds them there. So I think, to me, karma can be both for the living and the dead.
Wow.
And I think that's how karma should be defined, but that's just me.
I think that's such a beautiful way to put it too, because to me, it's a whole different perspective. I think a lot of people assume karma is karma, like
rewards and punishments.
Right.
Yeah, no.
And
we do that to ourselves.
Yes, 100%. But what we do and just being connected to something that can't be explained in a scientific matter, I guess, or empirically explained on paper, people question because they don't understand. And what they don't understand, they judge.
People are afraid of the unknown, and they have to put things in a box they can understand. That's why we have labels on everything. And it's a shame, because the unknown should inspire awe, not terror. Yes, you should be respectful of what you don't understand, but you shouldn't necessarily be afraid of it. Just because you hear footsteps at night, it doesn't mean it's the devil. The devil's not going to be tiptoeing around your hallway, for God's sake.
Right.
Well, for anybody's sake. For
it's
anybody's the old
sake.
lady who used to be there.
Oh my God.
Or what have you.
When you talk about labels, it just makes me think back to our conversation when we were initially talking before today. No labels. Labels put you in a box. Labels.
They're self-limiting. Yeah, self-limiting.
I was always just under the assumption that because I'm different, I have a label. Whether I want to have a label or not, people are automatically going to label me that. So I guess that's what it is.
No.
I don't think you can put a label on what we do, honestly, because the reach is far and wide.
When people ask me what do, I say I help people.
That's awesome. I say I sell toilets because then they won't bother me. I'm like, what's the one thing I can say where I don't have to talk to people? Because people are too people-y and they make me nervous and I get really socially awkward and weird because I want to talk about like aliens and ghosts and things like that. And they want to talk about the Cowboys. And I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know?
I make fun of I shouldn't say that, but yes, I make fun of the Cowboys.
I'm from Dallas. I should love them. I've never been a fan. I don't even understand football, to be honest with you. And I was a cheerleader. My life has no rhyme or reason. I think somebody just said, bloop, here you are. You're just going to do what you do and figure out life because you're just already a weird one. And we're not quite sure where to put you. So we're just going to kind of let you play and figure it out. And I feel like you're the same way. I think you and I just kind of like figured it out and we found our tribes. We found our people. I mean, how was that for you growing up in a family? Were you always able to be open about this? Like, was there
Never.
Religion or anything in your family?
Oh, sure. My mother was sort of kind of Catholic, sort of.
Like part-time Catholic?
So I had to take catechism. By the time I was 12, I was already questioning things. I ended up going with the Mormons for 6 months because they happened to knock on my door. Then I went with the Jehovah's Witnesses for another 6 months to learn from them. Then it was Zen Buddhism. Then it was comparative theology and philosophy of religion around the world. And then I went to the Holy Land. And I mean, I was trying to understand the mind of God. And I finally found my faith when I realized, and I've said this to people before, I heard a few years ago that NASA projected there are more living worlds in the universe than there are grains of sand on Earth. Now, I checked that out. That's the number 75, followed by 17 zeros. And we're just one of those grains of sand. And we are fighting over that one grain of sand. There is no way that whatever that thing is that we think of as God, whatever that is, we have no conception of it. My faith has to come from my ignorance. It has to come from understanding that the weaver of this infinite tapestry is so much greater than anything I can imagine. I'm just a thread, one tiny thread in an infinite tapestry, and I have to have faith he's going to put me where I need to be to complete his picture. I am a pastor without any religion whatsoever. I learned a Hindu proverb that said, there are many paths up the mountain. It's only the fool running around the bottom saying you're going the wrong way that never gets any closer to the top. You find your own path. If you follow one that someone else has laid out before you, God bless you. Put your faith into action. Don't be one of those hypocrites who prays to God in the church and steps over the man on the curb on your way out. You know, put it into action. Would Jesus have left him laying there? No.
Just like you started deconstructing your faith around the same time I did. I would get in trouble because I'm a big reader. I love books. And I would go to the bookstore and they couldn't find me. They would always find me in the New Age or occult section because I'm checking out aliens in the afterlife. I think they were more concerned for my soul, you know, at that point. My brain is like right now because I just have so many questions. You experienced all these different versions of what faith is. I do believe there's a God. I don't know what God is. Did you ever see Prometheus? It's the prequel to Alien.
Yes.
Okay, so they say our creator, they have these giant humans. And in the Bible, they talked about these giant beings, these giant people. Okay, so is God an engineer? Is God a computer in the sky? I have these conversations and I'm like, is God an alien? I think Jesus was a medium. I think he was very special. I think he had gifts. I also think he's a very powerful person because he was open to these gifts. That's about as far as I can really take it in terms of how I see my religion now. Jesus, I thought, is more like a messenger. I thought he was like more of a prophet, kind of like what a psychic medium would be. So, but then he's also like a Gandhi and a Mother Teresa. And
exactly.
I mean, the Dalai Lama, he was way bigger than just somebody with special abilities like clairvoyance or talking to the other side.
But I think he was trying to teach us we could all be that way.
Yes.
If you let go of fear and you believe in faith.
Yes.
What did he say? Faith the size of a mustard seed?
Yes. Tiny.
Yeah.
Tiny.
It's all about that. To me, it's quantum physics in action.
It is 100%. And people want to wrap it up into these stories in a book. That's fine and dandy. I just know what I believe. When people look at me and say, oh, wow, you say that you were raised this way and you used to call yourself a Christian, but this isn't a buffet. You can't, Christianity's not a little bit of this and I'll have a little bit of that, but leave that. And I'm like, okay, and the first thing that you're supposed to be doing is not judging me and telling me I'm going to burn in eternal damnation. So I'm sorry, which one of us is right? It's definitely not you. I threw all that out the window. And I know that beyond a shadow of a doubt, Chris, I know when the day comes, I will see you again. I will see my mom and dad again. I will see all of the people that told me that they're going to pray for me because I talked to the other side and I talked to the dead, and that's not real and that's evil and that's Satanism and that's this and that and I'm a witch. Yes, I am a witch. If you want to put a title on it, yep, I am. But I don't, not everything is dark and not all dark is evil.
But let's also define the fact that a witch and a psychic are two separate things.
Completely separate. But before I knew there was light, I only knew the dark. I didn't know there was a difference until I suffered profound loss and realized, oh my God, this is my purpose. I had to see all of this and experience all of this and sign a major record deal. I went down a really dark path. It's like I sold out. I sold out to have something that I thought was this glamorous, amazing life. And guess what, man? It was nothing like that. And half of those people now are dead because they didn't get out. When you're in a place like that, there's a lot of dark. And I'm talking real dark. I'm talking people that have sold their souls for some big shit. I know that, again, when my body expires and I am just floating around in this little glowing light, I know that the same people that told me that I was going to be in a different place are going to be up there and be like, oh, well, holy shit, man, you were right. My dad is going to lose his mind. He's going to be like, well, I swear to God, I should make a bet with him now. I'm like, dude, you better write me the biggest check right now. And let me just like hang on to that shit, because I'm going to be cashing that shit in heaven when you see me. And he's going to lose his mind because he is seriously convinced that I'm not going to be there. And I'm telling you right now, if we're going to go strictly on religion and what the Bible says, if you take your life, you burn in hell. How is it that I can talk to people who have left that way? Those are 99% of the people that find me. And I can tell their parents exactly what they left in their wallet for them. I walk through houses I've never been in. I can tell you where the paint's chipping off of the baseboard. I'm there in real time. I'm remote viewing. I am physically there and here at the same time. And if they're in hell, how are they telling me and showing me it's not true? It's all lies.
I know.
Explain.
Hell, my grandmother's Lorraine Warren, for God's sake. I know.
Explain to me, because I seriously need validation too sometimes. I don't know how to explain this. And you know what my dad said to me? He goes, you find me a pastor that can tell me that what you do is not evil.
It's one of the 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit, discernment.
That's what I used to call it, discernment. And if I say discernment, nobody freaks out when I say my intuition. People trip out. Oh, you're woo-woo. Come on, people.
Intuition is a good thing. It says, hey, this person's bad. I shouldn't go with them. What's wrong with that?
The people that are the bad people don't like that, because we see that shit a mile away. I know, just like when we walk in a room and you meet people, we meet a lot of people. When there's certain people that just, it's not your vibe. And I've learned, I don't second guess it. I don't try to justify it like I used to years and years and years ago, where I was like, oh, maybe I'm just being too judgmental, or maybe I just need to be more open-minded. No, bitch. They're not good for you at all.
Right.
There's not something, they are not aligned. Your energy, you guys are not in the same way, on the same wave. Your vibration's up here, this person's down here, and they like people like you because you are the light. What do you say to the people like my dad, for instance? The people that take their life are not in hell. They're not burning in hell.
They're so afraid sometimes to pass over because they think they're going to hell, because that's what one religion taught them. And I was like, no, don't worry. That's not what's happening. You're in hell right now. You have separated yourself from the light. You're hiding in misery and you're suffering. You don't have to. I think if you try to visualize God as the sun, there are some souls who are so afraid of that light that they want to hide in the darkness, and they create their own hell. And then there are others who over time are trying to earn their way back, are trying to claw their way back from the darkness. And that's to be admired. And some of them, there are religions out there like Umbanda or Kimbanda, where these lost souls, these black souls, are trying to do good works in the world. They're seen as almost demonic, but in reality, they're there trying to help souls and hopefully earn their way back into the light as well. Now, I'm not an Umbandista. I'm not a follower of that in particular, but it's a lovely philosophy, and it's one that I understand. Look, when you die, it just means that the car you're driving in broke down. You get out. Do you honestly, I don't care what your book says, do you honestly think that a loving God is going to damn you because, oh, you believed this religion instead of that religion? No. We're all clawing our way up the mountain to get closer to God. And if you're somebody who says, oh, well, I'm saved because I'm washed in the blood of Jesus. Yeah, well, what have you done that follows the teachings of Jesus? Do that. Don't talk. Act. In any faith where you're putting your faith in loving action is the right faith.
See, and that to me is why I don't believe in organized religion. I believe your faith is whatever you believe in. Your personal relationship with Source is your personal relationship. If you really go back and look at all of the canons, whatever they call them, that never made it into the Bible, there was Christian mysticism. If Jesus was this way and they crucified him to shut him down because he had followers, I'm sure if we could find all the other people like us and we could start a damn cult. Majority of my life, I thought I was mentally ill. I lived in Nashville. I was driving down the 40. All of a sudden, I hear all these conversations, almost like an old radio dial turning. And I can hear them like a bunch of people talking. And I look at my radio and I'm like, that's not my radio. And my windows are up. And I was like, dude, this is weird. Maybe I'm just anxious. I don't know. And at the time, I had also been in a robbery. I was at a restaurant that had been robbed, and it was right after I signed my record deal. Now I'm going to fucking die. I was like, really? But obviously, I was fine. I just said, okay, well, I didn't die. I'm good. Never really talked about it after that. So I called my doctor, and I'm driving, and I said, hey, can you up my meds, my anxiety meds? I think that I was on like Xanax or something at the time. I'm telling you, I was on like everything because I was just like, fix my brain because I'm hearing shit. I didn't tell anybody that though. This time I was like, just up my meds. I think maybe I'm just stressed out. She goes, well tell me your symptoms, whatever. I said, well, I'm just driving right now and all of a sudden I hear all these voices talking. And she said, Shannon, can you do me a favor and pull over? I was like, oh, fuck, man, I'm in trouble. She said, you told me you're hearing all these voices. She goes, are these voices telling you to do anything? And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, she thinks I'm fucking having a mental breakdown. She goes, well, why don't you come in and see me? And I was on the road. I was like, okay, I'll come in on my way to the studio. Because I was like, she'll just fill up my meds or whatever. I go in there and I talk to her. And at that point, I'm standing there and I see a woman next to her. Standing there that's clearly not somebody she can see. I don't see them like I see a human. I don't know how you see people on the other side, but I don't see them how I see humans. Like if somebody puts a transparency right in front, I can see them right next to you. I can see them moving. I can see them showing me certain things in real time. And I see this woman, oh God, it just trips me out. And she's doing this whole like dance thing behind her and she's showing me that her legs, and I was like, oh my God. And I'm like, dude, this has to be her grandma. And I started shaking and she was like, are you okay? I said, yeah, I think I'm just having a panic attack. I couldn't say anything to her, so I can just shut it down and bury it, just become numb. That's what I did.
That's why I started a psychic support group for people like you and I.
We're not supposed to have these kind of issues. We're supposed to have our shit together.
No, you're human. We break. We fall down.
We're supposed to be like Harry Potter, though. We're like wizards. We're not supposed to fall apart.
Yeah, I've had that reaction from people with me. I'm supposed to go in and wave a magic wand. It's not that way. This is their battle. I'm there to help. I'm there to walk beside them. But they have to meet me halfway. They have to be willing to do the work necessary to close the door. Yes, I can do a spiritual cleansing. Yes, I can talk to a ghost. But if there's a negative manifestation, there's an underlying reason for that manifestation. And we have to deal with that as well. And that's their part. You know, whether it's drug abuse or domestic violence or whatever it is, it has to be addressed. It has to be taken care of.
Yeah, that's the core of the issue. Your family is the clean, pretty side. Everything is aesthetic.
I'm the dirty side.
You're the real side. To package it up and pretend it's not what it really is in terms of the dark. Make it all nice and pretty so we can make a lot of money and cash grab and do things that we shouldn't be doing, like tours.
I'm just trying to warn the public about that.
That's all. That's what I'm saying. It's not a game.
No, my grandparents spent their entire lives protecting people from those things. And now they're being sent out to do exactly the opposite. A spectacle wouldn't be so bad. It's like they've taken the radiation from Chernobyl and they're shoveling it all over the place.
Yeah, they're spreading it around.
My grandfather taught us, don't touch anything, don't challenge anything, and don't interact. Because that's the danger. It's that attachment you create. When your energy interacts with its energy, you can, not necessarily will, can have a problem. A lot of people are going to interact with these things and have no problem at all. It's just like millions use Ouija boards and never have a problem. But that doesn't mean that the gun's not loaded and it's not going to go off. And look, I don't know what happened in reality. I can't say what happened to Dan Rivera. You know, the man was a good man who supported his family, served his country. Nobody wants to be remembered for being the guy killed by Annabelle. But I will say this, I've been thrown across the room. I've been levitated over stairs. My grandfather had a heart attack during the exorcism of Maurice Theriault. Another man I worked with had a stroke the night before going on a very serious case. This is real. It's serious. And these energies can be deadly. I've had 2 people killed by this stuff. So I don't want people to go there, but unfortunately, just saying that makes more people want to go. It's a perverse psychology. Oh, we gotta go check that out.
Yeah, it's like red rum, red rum, red rum. You want to say it in the mirror to see what happens. Okay, so when you talk about interaction, how does this tour work? Are people touching the case and talking, and how? I don't even.
Oh, they're literally not just standing in front of it and having their photo. Some of them are being urged to touch the case and everything else now. And oh my God, look at this weird image behind the person standing in front of Annabelle. It's like, but come be part of this.
You want a ghost? You get a free gift on the way home. It's called an attachment. That should be the tagline.
Yeah.
Gift with purchase. I never watched The Conjuring. I never watched any of that shit. Ed and Lorraine.
You're not learning from them.
But that's what I'm saying. If I want to know, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to go straight to the source. The closest I got to them was when they were working with Chip Coffey and Ryan Buell.
No, that was Paranormal State, and that was just my grandmother. My grandfather.
Yes, that's right.
Passed.
I don't.
Yeah,
remember.
that was Paranormal State.
Tony was running the museum, right? Or Lorraine was, and then
my grandmother. Yeah, when my grandmother was taking care of my grandfather, everything was turned over to Tony. Remember, at that point in my life, I wasn't involved with them and their work. I was doing everything on my own. And I was very unhealthy. I was sinking into depression. By 2007, I was a mess. By 2008, I was in a wheelchair. Wow. So I spent 11 years, I guess it was, 2008 to 2019. But you know what? I mean, thank God for it. It was necessary to turn me into the man I am today.
Did you talk to your mom? When was the last time you talked to your mom?
When she was yelling at me about my posting about the tour being dangerous. And we haven't actually spoken in years, just messages. But the last one was when I wrote about the sale of the house. She wrote to me saying, "That's perfect. How dare you? What do you know? And you're the ones allowing this to go on tour. You should know better." She's afraid of the paranormal. She knows it's dangerous. So the fact that she allows this, but she felt a need to make things up to my mother.
Oh.
And you have to understand, my mother and Tony struggled always. The only 2 houses they've ever owned were given to them by my grandparents. I mean, Tony and my mother have paid the mortgage on both of them over time, but they wouldn't have had them without my grandparents. And Tony started doing lectures because he didn't have money to take care of the family. He had something sometimes, and other times he would lose jobs and have nothing. I even got him a job once. He always was struggling, and they were always having bill collectors and everything, and it was a mess.
What happened with your dad?
My mother and father met. I think my father was in the country for about a week.
Oh, wow.
He had come from England, and it was not the first time in the United States, but he had just come over, and they were working in the same factory. They were 17 years old, and they went on a date, and that was it. And I was born 8 months later, actually.
Wow.
But my dad had a rough childhood, and he was abandoned at 14. So he wasn't prepared to be a father. He wasn't the best father. He wasn't the best husband. And they got divorced when I was 14. And Tony probably showed up when I was, I'm going to say 15. And they don't have anyone else. For all their talk, they don't have friends. They have each other. That's it.
And Tony, was he like a paranormal fanatic, or?
No, he learned the stories because he loves the limelight. He did a cable access show with my grandparents where he was the host. And then he started helping by flipping the slides at the lectures because he needed a job. My grandparents would give him a couple of $100 for each lecture. When my grandfather started to get ill, that's when Tony started doing the lectures with my grandmother instead and kept the business going. And that was fine. You know, I didn't have a problem with any of that. You know, we all have to eat, we all have to live. And he was taking care of my mother. He's good to my mother. I will never say a bad thing, ever, about the way he treats my mother, you know? But which cases has Tony Spera ever worked on? What evidence is there of anything? He's never said he's worked on a case. He's very careful about that. If you go to the Nesper website, he says, I started working with Ed and Lorraine in 1981 during the Arnie Johnson case. He doesn't say he was part of the Arnie Johnson case. I'm trying to warn the public about the dangers of following someone who doesn't know what they're doing. Look, when he was on Ghost Adventures, he said, you cannot touch Annabelle. Annabelle is dangerous, blah, blah, blah. But he still took Annabelle out of its box. My grandfather put a world-famous sign on that box. And then they started using oven mitts with holy water on them to move Annabelle into a travel box. Ridiculous. But the thing that bothers me is, for years, he's talked about how dangerous it is. Then he starts stacking liquor around Annabelle and then selling it for $1,000 a bottle or whatever it was, and saying, make sure you get it blessed before you drink it. It could be cursed. It's all safe to take on tour. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's like, you can't have it both ways. You can't spend years telling everybody how dangerous this is and then take it out on tour. For me, having grown up with this, I know how deadly this stuff can be. And I have an ethical responsibility to say something. I am not attacking my family. I love my mother. I am morally obligated to say something. And it breaks my heart to have to do this publicly. I've tried to reach out privately. It doesn't work. All they are seeing right now is dollar signs. Mm-hmm. And Tony's seeing Spotlight. He loves it. I mean, this new movie, he's in his glory. Although I think, to be quite honest, I think it's blowing back because he's making posts about, look, it's only a movie. We didn't have any input in the movie. It's not us. It's not our fault.
I don't understand how you weren't consulted.
Because I've never been the same as any of them.
But you know the real story, and you know what shit was embellished. What did Ed and Lorraine teach you in terms of, if you're going to be around this stuff, how do you ground yourself? If these people are going to be on this tour with this doll, with Annabelle, and when you talk about Ouija boards, sometimes Ouija boards don't affect certain people. Is it because they're grounded? They know how to protect their energy, or is it because they don't believe?
My grandmother would have taught us, did teach me, that like attracts like. The energy you put out is the energy you're going to attract. So you get a disturbed individual or a teenager whose emotions are raw and, everything's brand new, and they're trying to communicate with a spirit, they're going to attract something that's not necessarily going to be a good something. Or they're going to manifest a thought form that will take on a life of its own, like a poltergeist would. And that, again, can be very violent because you're feeding it very negative energy yourself. But there are plenty of people who for them, it's just a game. Their intention isn't as clear, and they're not really reaching out. Or if they do, they reach out to something and they get something good, and that's fine. But if you're going to do spirit communication in any form, you're opening yourself up. It doesn't matter if it's a Ouija board or a ghost,
or a REM
what are they called?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Any of that stuff. I have an iPad. That's it. That's my sole tool.
I love it, though. I love it.
Well, my grandfather had a cassette recorder. No, he only took me out to do that once.
Really?
In my entire life with him. We went to a graveyard where he was trying to teach me about that. and how to do it and how to be respectful. But the thing is, graveyards are not haunted. The only reason a spirit goes there is because you're there. And you're reaching out to them and they're like, oh, somebody's calling me? That's all that is.
Yeah.
I mean, who the hell wants to haunt their body? There are certain places, like in Peru, the way the priests have worked it, they set these kind of a spiritual trap, I guess you'd almost have to call it, where they put prayer barrier around it so that spirits can come in. So let's say you're burying your grandfather. And it's very common for a spirit to follow you for 7 to 40 days after they die. They're there to make sure you're going to be okay, that everybody will be fine. But if they're at their funeral, which is also common, they may be following the procession into the cemetery, at which point they're not able to leave. They can either pass over to go to heaven, but they can't get out of the cemetery itself and stay on earth.
I think about my life and it's just like yours. It's been extraordinary. I don't fit in. I'm just different. I always have to tell my daughter, I'm like, listen, there are some people that know that mommy talks to dead people. She goes, don't worry, I'm not going to tell anybody. As I go wipe my face. Man, it's hard raising kids like this.
I'm lucky. I shut it down years and years ago. I used to read auras and I scared people. And I mean, they wanted it. They asked for it, but they don't really want it.
They want the nostalgia and the fun aspect of it. They don't want the truth. They ask a lot of questions and they want your advice, but they don't want to take it.
I'm also talking about quantum physics and cultural anthropology and consciousness studies. I'm examining the nature of reality through the lens of the paranormal and the questions that it raises. So I want to terrify. The journey is to empower by the end. Right. I've lived it all over the world. And I thought, look, you got the grandson of Ed and Lorraine Warren, started working with them at 16. He's 61. He's traveled around the world.
I know that Lorraine brought us together. Ed brought us together for a reason because you showed up on my page out of the blue. I'm going to go with it and I'm blessed and I'm lucky and this has been awesome and you are incredible. And I appreciate the work that you do. You have validated me and probably so many others. Instead of us thinking we're mentally ill and we're crazy, you have made us realize that no, we're actually really fucking cool. We're just an upgrade.
The word is gifted. It's gifted.
Gifted.